do now is go through a substantial amount of facts from the affidavit of probable cause accompanying a criminal charge that was filed yesterday against Mr. Reinhardt. We do have copies of that affidavit of probable cause that we can hand out then. It won't be as long as the last press conference I had where I read a lengthy statement, but there's a lot of facts here. On Sunday, July 26th, just after midnight, a woman who turned out to be Reinhardt's estranged wife reported a burglary of her residence at 614 Park Ridge Drive, Mechanicsburg, Upper Allen Township. So that's why we're in Upper Allen Township. The burglary that gave rise to this, or the reported burglary, occurred in Upper Allen Township. The previous evening, between 6 and midnight, an unknown person had kicked open the rear door of that residence and stolen 4 jewelry boxes containing jewelry and watches from the bedroom, as well as an Apple laptop. On Tuesday, the following Tuesday, Detective Sergeant Tom Kaufman from Upper Allen Township was assigned to the case. He learned that Sergeant Ronald Reinhardt Jr. of the Susquehanna Township Police Department had contacted an Upper Allen officer during the overnight hours of Monday the 27th into Tuesday the 28th. Reinhardt stated he was investigating a retail theft case. That officer that was contacted, Officer Tappan, was conducting the initial investigation into the report of the burglary. Reinhardt specifically said he was investigating a man named Stephen Brown, whose name he had received from an informant. Officer Tappan believed that he was assisting Sergeant Reinhardt with a criminal case. He offered an address of 6551 Devonshire Heights Road in Dauphin County. I believe that's Lower Paxton, is that correct, Chief? Lower Paxton Township, Dauphin County. Reinhardt also told the Upper Allen officer that he went to the address and went through the trash at the location looking for evidence of who resided there. This is information that was given to Detective Sergeant Kaufman. Reinhardt mentioned also that he was getting information from an ex-wife regarding the situation. Officer Tappan took that to mean an ex-wife of the person he was investigating, not the ex-wife of Reinhardt. Later it became clear that the ex-wife being referred to was Officer Reinhardt's estranged wife. Later in text messages on Ms. Hall's phone, Reinhardt indicated that he was at her residence with her permission when she was not home on July 26th after the burglary, looking for footprints or other evidence the jurisdictional police may have missed. Reinhardt never told Officer Tappan any of this information. Reinhardt told Officer Tappan he was investigating a retail theft of seafood that had occurred at Giant on July 27th, and later called back the same night, indicated he was investigating a theft of clothing from the Gabriel Brothers department store at Union Deposit Road. Reinhardt also described to Officer Tappan the location of the house on Devonshire Heights Road. On Tuesday, Tuesday the 28th, so the burglary is Saturday evening. On Tuesday the 28th, at around 9 o'clock, Upper Allen Township received a call through Cumberland County Communications to call a certain number. The person who had called wanted to remain anonymous and indicated they had information about the burglary that had happened on Park Ridge Drive. Upper Allen Township, as they often do, had posted a news release about the burglary seeking information. Detective Sergeant Kaufman called that number and spoke to a male who would not give his name or other information. This is the information that was given by, at that point, an anonymous tipster. On the night of July 27th, that person had been at the Devonshire Heights Road address with other people. He knew the specific address. He read it to Detective Sergeant Kaufman. He confirmed that it was 6551. He indicated that Steve Brown was there. Brown had stated that Saturday he set up a burglary at the house of a girl he had been dating for a couple months. Steve Brown had been dating the victim of the burglary, Reinhardt's estranged wife. Brown said he had an acquaintance do the burglary. Brown said he had stashed the items to the rear of the garage or shed at that address in Lower Paxton behind a row of construction trailers. Specifically said there was a large amount of jewelry in a black trash bag. that he saw it personally, and that 6551 was on a white sign at the end of the lane that leads to the garage, and that he had been there with 5 other people between 8 and 9 p.m. So just to recap, that's an anonymous tip, ostensibly, to Detective Sergeant Kaufman that gives all that specific information about Brown and about that address, so indicating that he had heard Brown say these things. Wouldn't give any more information, but was very descriptive about the jewelry and the property. So on that same date, Detective Sergeant Kaufman, on July 28th, went to Devonshire Heights Road with another detective from Upper Allen and other detectives from Lower Paxton Township. They proceeded to the location that had been given to them, located a single black trash bag with blue handle ties behind a stack of pallets. It contained several jewelry boxes with clear tops that matched the description the victim had given him. The bag was taken as evidence. The jewelry was identified by Ms. Hall as jewelry that was stolen in the burglary of her residence. Brown was there, denied any knowledge of the burglary, and in fact had been with Ms. Hall during the time that the burglary took place. The property owner in Lower Paxton had been home the night before. They did not see a group of people outside. As indicated, Brown had been with Hall during the time of the burglary. Reinhardt, by contrast, was off work on Saturday and did not return to work until Sunday night in Susquehanna Township. Again on July 28th, there was a follow-up interview by Detective Sergeant Kaufman with Ms. Hall. During that interview, Detective Sergeant Kaufman photographed multiple text messages between Reinhardt and Hall, where Reinhardt is begging her to return home. Partway through the interview, Detective Sergeant Kaufman was told that Reinhardt had arrived here at the Upper Allen Township Police Station and was not pleased when he learned that Hall was being interviewed and text messages were being photographed. Prior to Hall leaving the station, Detective Sergeant Kaufman went to the parking lot and spoke with Reinhardt, who was seated in his truck. Detective Sergeant Kaufman mentioned the burglary. Reinhardt said he did not know much about it. Detective Sergeant Kaufman specifically asked Reinhardt if he was at 6551 Devonshire Heights Road the night before. He stated that he had not been. Reinhardt said that he had looked into Brown and that information was covered in a report that he would fax to Detective Sergeant Kaufman later that evening when he went to work. That report never came, and later, of course, Detective Sergeant Kaufman learned the information given to Officer Tappan about those retail thefts at Giant and at Gabriel Brothers had likely been fabricated. A short time later, Ms. Hall left the police department, was met by Reinhardt in the parking lot. They sat in her car for about 15 minutes. They both came back to the lobby, and then Reinhardt said he wanted to speak with Detective Sergeant Kaufman. Detective Sergeant Kaufman met with them. Reinhardt said he wanted to talk to Detective Sergeant Kaufman alone. Detective Sergeant Kaufman said they would talk with the victim present. They were taken to an audio-video recorded room here in the police department and were made aware of that. Reinhardt then indicated they wanted the case to, quote, go away, and that Hall wanted the case to, quote, go away. Reinhardt said Hall didn't want the case prosecuted, and neither did he. He said they're professionals, they don't need this crap. Reinhardt said Hall was not going to testify, and if it was this guy, that she did not want to prosecute him. Reinhardt was asked to step out of the room, and Detective Sergeant Kaufman talked to Hall, who indicated this was Reinhardt's idea because he was concerned about his employment status. Detective Sergeant Kaufman indicated that as a police officer that shouldn't be a problem. Hall left again, was again met in the parking lot here by Reinhardt. A short time later, they both came back in the lobby and again indicated that they would like the case to go away. On July 29th, police checked the Dauphin County web CAD interface, indicating that Sergeant Reinhardt had made the following queries of vehicle registrations during the early morning hours on Tuesday the 28th when he was on duty. And he ran several license plates through that system. One was an expired registration in the name of Stephen Brown. One was registered to a woman named Barbara Reed and is used by a person who lives at 6551 Devonshire Heights Road. Another was displayed on a utility trailer, again located at 6551 Devonshire Heights Road. This indicates Reinhardt was likely on the property at 6551 Devonshire Heights Road to obtain the license plate information and ran those license plates while he was there or around the same time. A search warrant was requested from Dauphin County Communications for the period of July 26th through Tuesday, July 28th as it pertains to Sergeant Reinhardt. There were approximately 172 inquiries made by Reinhardt. The majority of those inquiries involved Stephen Brown and his ex-wife with search parameters regarding Brown's name and certain locations such as Harrisburg, Hershey, and Hummelstown. Reinhardt eventually ran Brown's actual driver's license number and obtained his social security number on July 27th. As the investigation progressed, there was also a warrant done for automatic vehicle location information. Information that shows where Reinhardt's patrol vehicle would have been at certain times while he was on duty and it was assigned to him. The significant findings of the results of that warrant indicated that on July 28th at 1:40 a.m. Reinhardt calls Cumberland County 911 for Upper Allen Police. At 2:35 he calls again. Those are the two calls that were made to Officer Tappan. At 2 a.m. the car arrives in the 6500 block of Devonshire Heights Road. 202 passes and turns left going up a private lane across the street back down to the main road. 204 arrives at 6551 Devonshire Heights Road. 205 drives up the lane to the garage where Brown lived and where the jewelry was located. Was there for about 38 to 41 seconds. At 207, re-enters the driveway at Devonshire Heights Road and drives to the rear of the property. At 2:23 a.m., Reinhardt goes to the property of the Susquehanna Township Maintenance Building. 2:45, leaves the maintenance building and heads directly back to Devonshire Heights Road via Walnut Street in Lower Paxton. 2:52 arrives back at Devonshire Heights Road, and the car is located at several spots in front of the residence. So that was on July 28th while Reinhardt was on duty as a Susquehanna Township police officer. The investigators obtained an audio CD containing recorded telephone calls that included the recorded calls from Reinhardt the night he talked to Officer Tappan, as well as the recorded call from the tipster later on. And Detective Sergeant Kaufman indicated that the voice on the tip call sounded like the same voice that had spoken to him, indicating it was Reinhardt. On Wednesday, August 5th, Detective Sergeant Kaufman followed up on the retail theft cases and learned that they were both fabricated. On August 12th, Upper Allen Township officers collected trash that was left out for collection at Reinhardt's house in Carroll Township, and the bags were exactly the same as the bags that had been found at Devonshire Heights Road in Lower Paxton Township. In the bags themselves, no problem, the following evidence was found: a pair of white latex gloves that appeared to have been used, a piece of notebook paper with a copy parental advisory explicit content cut out, and a picture of a white male. That was a picture of Stephen Brown. And a partially crumpled sheet of notebook paper with a letter composed as follows: "Listen to me, Steve. This is the only chance I'm going to give you. You have one chance to end this. If you don't, what happened to you this week will only get worse. You know what you need to do. If you do not end this now, I will end it for you. I can find you anywhere. I know where you go and everything you do. I will get you in Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg, it's abbreviated, or Palmyra. Phase 2 begins soon." The bag that the jewelry was found in was submitted to the Cumberland County Forensic Lab. A print was found on the inside of the bag and identified to Ronald Reinhardt. One print that was lifted from the top of one of the jewelry boxes was also identified to Ronald Reinhardt. Court orders were obtained for the phones involved in this case, the anonymous tip phone and the phone used by Brown. As it relates to Brown's phone, study of the record shows that during the time of the burglary, there were no calls or text messages. The data that was calculated from the transmission put Brown's phone in the area of Springgate Vineyard in Harrisburg. From Reinhardt's phone, it shows during the burglary there were no inbound or outbound calls on Reinhardt's phone, and the data coordinates provided by Sprint for Reinhardt's phone during the time of the burglary showed that from 8:46 to 9:02 his phone was in the area of where the burglary took place. The records related to the tip phone, which was a track phone, which is a prepaid phone that's often used when people don't want their calls to be traced or they want it to come back to them. The only activity on that phone was that the call was placed to Upper Allen Township when the tip was called in about the jewelry location. With information obtained from that phone, investigators were able to draw a conclusion as to where the phone had been purchased. The likely location of that phone being purchased was the Walmart in Lower Allen Township, Cumberland County. On August 28th, Detective Sergeant Kaufman went to Walmart and viewed video from Tuesday, July 28th, when the tip phone was activated and calls were made. That video showed that on Tuesday, July 28th, a silver Ford pickup operated by Reinhardt pulls into the parking lot. Reinhardt gets out and is identified on the video selecting and purchasing the phone and walking back out of the store with the phone. So